Welcome to the Tech Mobility Podcast, brought to you by Playbook Investors Network, your strategic partner for unstoppable growth. Visit pincommunity.org to get started.
I'm Ken Chester. On the docket, my impressions and review of the 2026 Dodge Charger Daytona EV, why some dealers are selling salvage vehicles, and underwater mortgages. Is it 2007 again? To join the conversation, be it to ask a question, share an opinion, or even suggest a topic for future discussion, call or text the Tech Mobility Hotline. That number, 872-222-9793. Or you can email the show directly, talk@techmobility.show. For those of you who enjoy Substack, you can find me at Ken C. Iowa, as a proud member of the Iowa Writers Collaborative. From the Tech Mobility News Desk, from Automotive News, how Chinese car makers may enter the U.S. I want that to settle for a minute. How Chinese car makers may enter the U.S. Before I even go a step further, let me drop this bombshell on you. For the last 10 years, there have been models made in China sold in the United States of America. They were typically sold by legacy manufacturers, but they were made in China. A couple of examples. Cadillac had their XTS, I believe, and they had a hybrid version. Oh, no, their CT6, I'm sorry. It was the Cadillac CT6. Their full-size car, there was a hybrid version. That was made in China, imported. Volvo, before they opened their South Carolina plant, was importing the S60 sedan from China. The Buick Envision, part of the Buick lineup, has always been made in China, still is made in China. BYD, you've heard of them as a car manufacturer, but do you realize they've been building buses in the United States of America for some time now? It's not new. And I know you're scratching your head right now. You're saying, yeah, but the tariffs, though. But the high tariffs, though. Canada just reduced tariffs on Chinese imports, car imports. They're going to import 49,000 of them. Newsflash, China's already building trucks in Mexico, selling trucks. I'm not talking big trucks. I'm talking about light-duty trucks in Mexico right now. They're selling them right now. This information comes from the annual National Automobile Dealers Association meeting in Vegas. And I'm going to quote it. Chinese automakers will access the U.S. market this year, 2026, and likely thanks to their legacy competitors. Automotive Ventures general partner Stephen Greenfield predicted, that was on February 1st this year, he said it. You will see announcements this year of Chinese starting to sell cars in America. I think it will likely be through joint ventures with existing automakers. Think Volvo, maybe Stellantis. There's a need. GM builds in China. They have Chinese brands. It's not that far-fetched. These ventures will include U.S. plants and workers. The most important thing is sharing intellectual property. As the Chinese did to us 20 years ago over in China, which, in case you didn't know, in order for an American business to do business in China, they had to partner with a local firm, and that local firm had to have 51% of the joint venture. Chinese reverse engineered everything. They got our intellectual property. We didn't get anything. And that was the thing. If we can make sure that intellectual property gets shared back to our legacy automakers, they're actually going to be more healthy as a result. Remember what we talked about a few months back when we said Jim Farley of the Ford Motor Company had driven a Chinese-made EV car And he was so impressed with it, he said, either we change or we die. He was very clear about that. Our automakers that are based in the United States compete on a global scale. Their major decisions are not bound solely or exclusively, but what happens politically in the United States of America can't. They do business in more than 100 countries around the world. They've got investment all over the place. They've got some models, some brands they will never bring to the United States, you will never see. In other places, they've teamed up with other automakers. For example, did you know that GM and Hyundai have teamed up to develop vehicles in Central and South America? Did you know that GM and Honda just recently ended a joint venture together? Volvo's talking to their parent, which, by the way, is Chinese, Geely, about bringing some Chinese brands that Geely owns that are not Volvo over to the United States. This is happening. You might think that the tariffs will slow it down, but no, they'll work around it. They'll either import them from Mexico or Canada, or maybe even build what they call a knockdown plant here, where you import parts, but you actually assemble it here. We've done that to the rest of the world for 70, 80 years. Here's something. There'll be a place for lenders and dealerships to support U.S. sales of Chinese vehicles. The Chinese won't wish to create their own U.S. captive finance lenders, nor would the U.S. allow them to do so. The Chinese auto industry is packed full of competitors who are overprinting vehicles and exporting them worldwide, and they ain't profitable yet. Greenfield said. China has a hyper-competitive automotive market. They're in the process of taking over Europe, and they're doing it with high-quality, low-cost cars, the kind that everybody's saying, why can't we have them here? Would you buy a Chinese vehicle that was equal in quality to a vehicle costing at least $10,000 more, had a range of at least 250 miles, had more features in it than anything else you could buy at that price in America right now, and was every bit of reliable? And you could buy it new, say maybe $13,000, $14,000. Chances are the answer is yes. We're in the middle of an affordability crisis. China done figured out how to build world-class, inexpensive EVs and other vehicles. They're circling the wagons, folks. They're coming into Canada. They're already in Mexico. And they've made some inroads in the United States already, just under different brands, which would probably be the way that they ramp up. And trust me, the Japanese did it before. So this is not new. A lot of the small vehicles, small pickup trucks, small cars from the 1970s, 80s, and 90s that were sold by the domestics, Ford, GM, and Chrysler, were actually made in Japan. By the 1990s, the Koreans hit the shores with inexpensive vehicles, and then they decided to up their quality. It's the old playbook. They're following the existing playbook. This ain't new. Chinese vehicles represent a solution to the affordability issue facing U.S. auto consumers, Greenfield said. Does that sound familiar? Again, the Japanese playbook, the Korean playbook, same playbook, last 50 years. Order a superior product at a competitive price, move up market. Take the long game, 20, 30 years, move up market. Toyota and Honda did it in the 60s and 70s, early 80s. Nissan followed. Hyundai, Kia followed. Now here come the Chinese. It's not rocket science. The question is, are we going to do this to where we benefit? Or are they going to get all the benefit and we end up with all the product? That's the question. This takes some insight. But there's definitely some room for them at the lower end of the market. The numbers prove it. Because not everybody can pay $50,000 for a new vehicle. That's for sure. And something's got to break. Something's got to break. It's sleek, it's fast, and boy, it's fun. My time behind the wheel of a Dodge Charger Daytona. You are listening to Tech Mobility Show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
The new Dodge Charger. Once you've looked, you're hooked.
Introducing the 76 Dodge Charger Daytona. Two-tone paint, radial tires, and glove-soft bucket seats. The Daytona is only one of 4 beautiful Chargers. And there's even one you can get hooked on for under $4,000.
The new Dodge Charger. Once you've looked, you're hooked.
1976. While the Chargers had a history, at that point of its history, the Dodge Charger was basically the Dodge edition of the Chrysler Cordoba. Funny thing is, though, back then, they went into fleets, and I worked for an automobile. Actually, I worked for a Dodge dealer then, and they'd be in an Avis fleet for 9 months, blow them through auction. We'd bring them home, clean them up, turn around and sell them for $4,895 and sell them all day. We'd buy 10, we'd buy 10, get them home on a Thursday, they'd be all sold by Saturday. $400 markup, they'd pay us $10 to drive them from Boston to Fitchburg, about a 50-mile drive. It was a personal luxury coupe at that point of its life. But they sold like hotcakes, and they did look kind of stylish. But you were never gonna confuse them for a performance car, not at that point in its life. And speaking of that, the Dodge Chargers had a long and storied history, first appearing as a show car in 1964. Introduced to the American motoring public for sale in 1966, the Charger was an effort by Dodge to cash in on the growing pony car performance rage, led by the Ford Mustang, and followed later in the decade by entries from Chevrolet, Pontiac, Mercury, and AMC. In the United States, the Charger nameplate had been used on mid-sized cars, personal luxury coupes, compact hatchbacks, God forbid, and full-size sedans. In essence, over the past 60 years, the nameplate has come to define different vehicles for different times. After 5 generations, the Charger name was retired by the then Chrysler Corporation in 1987. And while the nameplate may have been gone, it was certainly not forgotten. Fast forward to 2006. After a 20-year absence, Dodge reintroduced the Charger, this time as an aggressive-looking four-door sedan. And although it rode on the automaker's previous cab-forward LX platform, its German parent, because of course by this time it was Daimler Chrysler after all, provided the necessary suspension hardware that really changed performance profile and driving experience. The Charger sedan would continue to evolve, driven by a brace of fire-breathing V8 engines through the 2023 model year. The 2024 model year brought the 8th generation of the Charger with some revolutionary changes. The new Charger gets new sheet metal, reminiscent of the full-size Chargers of the late 1960s. It's now available as a 2- or 4-door passenger car. And while trading the fire-breathing V8s of late for an equally lethal twin-turbo Hurricane 6-cylinder gasoline prime mover, Charger also goes full electric for the first time ever. And just so you know, its electric powertrains are not designed to be a compromised choice between economy and performance. Rather, they celebrate and reinforce the community better known as the Brotherhood of Muscle for those willing to step up. This review is of the Charger Daytona Scat Pack 4-door full electric. Featuring 2 electric motors, 1 on each axle, the all-wheel drive Daytona battery electric sedan generates 630 horsepower and 627 foot-pounds of torque. And like some other performance electrics, the Daytona Scat Pack features a power shot button that provides an immediate but limited boost of power to 670 horsepower. An added benefit when even more power is needed for a short burst of time. A mechanical limited slip differential is also standard. By comparison, the outgoing SRT Hellcat supercharged 6.2-liter V8 engine produced between 707 to 797 horsepower and more than 650 foot-pounds of torque, so not a lot of difference. Range for the electric Charger is 270 miles. With its 100.5 kilowatt-hour battery pack, the Daytona Scat Pack Electric comes in at 2.69 miles per kilowatt-hour of battery power. It's on the low side of average. Bear in mind that the performance-oriented Lucid Air sedan comes in at over 5 miles per kilowatt-hour, and the thing is crazy fast. For those of you that even want more performance, Dodge offers a track package. This equipment upgrade includes 20-inch Saturn carbon aluminum wheels, a 35 aspect ZR-rated 20-inch all-season tires, adaptive damping suspension, black one-piece performance spoiler, red brake calipers, drive experience recorder prep, leatherette suede performance seats, radio and driver seat memory, Brembo ultra-high performance brakes, and wide-body competition suspension. Here's what I liked about the Charger Daytona. This beautifully accomplished ride is a Grand Tourer designed to look like a regular 4-door sedan. The fact that it has a hatch that reveals a large cargo area with a split fold-down rear seating just adds to the experience. Underway, the Charger Daytona is perfect. Build quality, perfect. Exterior design, perfect. Powertrain handling and comfort, perfect. The car feels like it was made just for you. Literally, when I say carved out of one piece of metal, this one feels just like that. There's no compromise, not squeaks, rattles, groans, hesitation. The thing is amazing. Displays, controls, and switchgear are not just user-friendly, they're driver-friendly. The driver enjoys a good outward view of the road. Seating front and rear is comfortable and accommodating for 4 adults, 5 in a pinch. And there's even a small front in the front of the car if you want to carry your briefcase. How nice. Here's what I didn't like about the Charger Daytona. Despite the big hatch opening to the rear cargo area, and there's a power open, but there's no power close. I'm not a fan of the power door openers, and, there's a number of automakers who are trying to get fancy. You press the button, it's kind of power door, which is great, but if the batteries go dead, finding the manual release is easier in some cars than others. Not a fan here. Not a fan. Finally, the rear windows in this, surprisingly, do not go all the way down. So what is the bottom line? other than the fact I could drive this car for miles all day? Driving the Dodge Charger Daytona Electric is a blast. Solid, responsive, comfortable, driver-friendly. It's everything you want in a performance car or a daily driver. I wish the range was closer to 350, 400 miles, but I suspect that'll be something that will be available within a few years, with this vehicle being able to benefit from the upgrade. Meanwhile, drivers, start your engines. The base manufacturer's suggested retail price for the 2026 Dodge Charger Daytona Scat Pack Electric 4-door starts from $61,995. Destination charges add $1,995. It looks good, it's stylish, it's sharp. The only major beef I've got is I want more range. It's got a 400-volt charging system, so it will charge fast, but I want more range. Once upon a time, reputable dealers avoided salvage titled vehicles like the plague. Until now. This is the Tech Mobility Show.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. Salvage titled vehicles. Vehicles that have been in accidents severe enough to reduce their value by more than 50%. They've had major systems and substructures compromised as a result of the damage. Some companies and individuals attempt to rebuild them, but until recently, reputable dealers had avoided them like the plague due to a myriad of liability and legal issues. Until now. This is topic B. Let me be clear. Because inspection laws are all over the place in the United States, because salvage titling laws are local, are state-based, and are all over the place, let me be blunt with you. I don't care where it looks like. You can't be 100% of something that have a salvage title, and until recently, that was the least of your problems. In previous years, there was concern of vehicles getting what they call a washed title being passed off as okay that had a salvage title on it when it was first registered. But they registered it in a state that didn't have a salvage title law, got a clean title, took it to another state and sold it as if nothing was wrong. This piece doesn't even deal with all of that, but that's still an issue. So why are dealers even risking their reputation? Let me explain. The affordability crisis is forcing an auto retailing rethink of what was once a dealership taboo, selling vehicles with branded or salvage titles. Once, insurance companies totaled cars because of body and frame damage from severe crashes. But, and you need to hear the but, they now write off easily repairable cars because of lesser impacts that impair expensive electronics. This leaves franchise dealers facing a stark choice: expand into the once untouchable inventory or watch budget-conscious buyers disappear to Facebook Marketplace, independent used car dealers, and national chains specializing in repaired branded cars. Why are they doing this? The shift marks a turning point in dealer economics, driven by a shrinking pool of $10,000 to $15,000 used vehicles and less by changing attitudes towards salvage vehicles. In other words, supply is driving demand. Let me give you the numbers. Last year, auto insurers totaled 17 million vehicles. 17 million. By comparison, the auto industry sold just over 16 million new vehicles. And we haven't even talked about the used car market, which is a factor of 3 to 4 times new cars being sold. Slightly half of those total vehicles find their way to salvage auctions. The rest are stripped for usable parts and then disposed of. But the industry estimates that 2.5 of those 17 million vehicles written off by insurance companies end up back on the road with branded titles each year. And that is assuming that everybody along the chain is playing by the same rules and playing fair and not trying to pass off a damaged salvage title vehicle as a clean title vehicle. Again, this article and this episode doesn't deal with that, but I want you to keep that in the back of your head. These vehicles occupy the lowest rung of the hierarchy of used cars and carry doubts about the repair quality, reliability, and safety. Darn tootin'. Cars now are full with more sensors and electronics than ever before. How much integrity do you think that structure in the front with the sensors that was compromised when the vehicle was hit and airbags were deployed? Is it still safe? Is they replace it? Depends on the state. Depends how strict it is. And because we don't have a national framework, you could go to a state where maybe they're a little bit lax about inspection and get something that's okay, it's okay, you can put that back on the road, compared to a state that's strict. In Iowa, we don't have vehicle inspections at all. We haven't had vehicle inspections since the early 1980s, when I first moved here. I was in the last few years before they eliminated them completely, which means you're liable to see anything on the road out here. Now, the state does have a criteria for inspection that requires the Department of Transportation to actually inspect the car in order to issue the title. But who's playing by those rules? Really? Financing and insurance can be difficult to obtain. You might be right. And even if wrecked vehicle is fixed properly, it can be hard to sell. And let me ask a question. Define fixed properly. By whose rules? By what standards? By factory standards? By state standards? By it's good enough standards? And you're going to take your chance to buy a branded vehicle that had been damaged, even if it's cosmetic, because the worst thing ain't necessarily material. It's the electronics. If they get wet, if they get compromised, if they get clocked, because you knock a car hard enough, it does mess with the sensors. And here's the problem. A test drive will not reveal those problems. It could be months before you realize what a mess you bought. And it's usually cascading or gremlins and all kinds of problems. Who actually says, okay, here's a group of standards. These cars either meet the standard or don't. That's the problem. Regardless of what the dealers do, that's the number one problem. That alone, particularly now, is enough reason for me to tell you, if it's salvage, stay away from it. One only caveat. If you got experience, if you're a mechanic or repair person, that's what you do and you know what you're getting into and you're fixing it yourself, that's different. But if you're a person looking for a price break, I need a reliable vehicle to get back and forth to work, or for my spouse to get back and forth to work, or for Johnny to have to get back and forth to school, this is not the way, because you really don't know. You don't know. Now, the good news is most dealers still consider it not worth the risk to their reputation. But modern vehicle complexity has fundamentally changed the way insurance companies decide when a vehicle is quote-unquote totaled. It's not always the result of a violent crash. complex safety electronics embedded in grills and bumpers, along with increased body shop labor costs and higher prices for imported repair parts because of tariffs, make repairable cars too expensive for insurance companies to fix, collision repair experts say. The repair expense becomes too high a percentage of the car's crash cash value before the crash to meet insurance company metrics. It doesn't make economic sense for them to fix them. Dealers talk about, yeah, we would consider it if we knew it was properly repaired, but properly against who? Against what? Are you going to take the car partially apart? Are you going to check every single sensor and all the wiring to make sure it's safe? And what happens if you buy one of these and one of the safety functions malfunctions in an accident? Will your insurance company cover you? Will the dealer who sold it to you stand behind it? Big question. And this article doesn't address that. Even if you get insurance, at what rate and what deductible? Because it's already been compromised once, even if it's cosmetic, because again, you don't know the condition of the electronics. Over 1 million homeowners are underwater on their mortgage, a 7-year high. Is this 2007? We are the Tech Mobility Show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. In some Florida cities, 1 in 10 homeowners were underwater on their mortgages last year. During 2025, there was a 60% jump in the number of homeowners in a negative equity position. What's going on? This is Topic C. Let me clarify something before we go any further. I am not talking about delinquent mortgages. I am not talking about people being late paying their mortgage. That's not this. This is people who bought a home in the last 3 to 4 years, anticipating the increase of home ownership, maybe getting in less money than usual. You didn't put a lot down, so you don't have a lot of equity, only to find that the housing market went weird on you. Instead of appreciation, you've had deflation, which is weird because the cost of housing is even harder now and higher now. What happened? The economy is what happened. There was a demand during the pandemic for housing. As a result, people bought some of everything. Now that that's sorted out, if you bought for little or nothing down after 2022, chances are you owe more money than the house is worth. Iowa, we've seen this before. 40 years ago, bankers convinced farmers the value of land would never fall. As a result, farmers borrowed for operating expenses, new equipment, seed, upgrades, everything against what they believed was the rising value of their land. Except, guess what? The recession of 1981 proved different. Land prices fell. And it took banks, farmers, seed dealers, implement dealers with them. It was ugly. It was so ugly here that a bank moratorium was called on foreclosures, on farm foreclosures. It was bad. Here's the good news. If you live in a home right now and you're making your payments and you don't plan to sell that house anytime soon, then you're going to be okay eventually. It hurts now, but here's the flip side. People look at homes, particularly over time with appreciation, as potential equity. That equity helps pay for college, vacations, upgrades to the home, emergencies that happen. But if your equity is wiped out, you can't do any of that. Here's something else. You also can't move. If you bought a home and you borrowed $200,000, but your home now is only worth $175,000, you want to sell the house, you got a problem. In order to sell the house, even at $200,000, what you owe just to get out of it, you'd have to cough up $25,000 cash money at close. That's independent of anything else you do. During the recession, a lot of folks sold their homes back to the bank on a short sale. The bank took less. But with prices being where they are right now, particularly when people were paying over the asking price, you remember those days? People were looking at houses, falling in love with the asking price, meeting the asking price only to be bid, I got cash or I'm paying $25,000 more than you're asking so I can have the house. Say what? Add that to your equity problem. Now you're beginning to see the thing. Problem is, those more affordable houses that would normally come on the market as people moved up market aren't moving up because these people can't afford to leave. So those houses ain't on the market, making the availability of housing stock even tighter and ironically pushing up the price of the homes. But not necessarily these folks in their case. Here's an interesting statistic. The number one city in the country that has the highest amount of homes underwater, mortgaged homes underwater, Lakeland, Florida. Of the top 10, 6 are Florida, 2 are Texas, 1's Louisiana, and one is Colorado Springs, Colorado at 5.57%. But here's something you should know. Nationally, home prices rose by 0.6% last year, except in these markets. They didn't. Americans still have an incredible amount of equity in their homes. Coming into 2026, homeowners in the United States held nearly $17 trillion, that's with a T, in equity overall, with just under $11 trillion with a T considered tappable, meaning that homeowners could borrow that amount against their property's value while still maintaining a 20% equity cushion, meaning if you owned your home for a while, you probably have decent equity in it. If you bought your house recently, you're probably stuck. If you're looking for a starter home right now, you're not going to find them because the people who own them now are the ones with the thinnest equity situation. They can't afford to move. It's messed up. Housing prices are high. The houses that you could move into are unavailable because the people who bought them can't afford to leave them. So those are not on the market, pushing the supply even tighter. But yet not enough to help them, but enough to keep people out. And then there's the issue of interest rates. and the fact that we're not building affordable housing stock fast enough across the United States. I'll throw this in too. Would you believe underwater mortgages were also less common in the Midwest, Northeast, and West Coast? Yeah, the price of houses in the Northeast are ridiculous. I've talked about that. We have this type of home in northeastern cities called a triple-decker, which is basically 3 fairly large 3-bedroom apartments built on top of each other. The economics used to be family would buy a triple-decker, move into the first floor, rent out the other 2, could cover mortgage and everything, watch their appreciation. Right now, the average triple-decker in metropolitan Boston goes for $1.2 million. These are not people with that kind of money. Even moving out, they got to move out because they can't make the economics work and rent all 3 floors, and it's still struggling. Even 50 miles outside of Boston, there's still $800,000. And that's when it's not in really good shape. It's a mess. If you're underwater, the most important thing you can do is sit tight, pay your mortgage, and just wait for the market and hope you don't have a need for any sort of equity situation because you just don't have it. And if you're in Florida, you're more acute than anywhere else in the country. It's a sign of the times. It's the paradox. Can't move, can't buy. And as a result, housing stock is even tighter. Affordable housing stock. Yeah, the chickens have come home to roost. And here we are.
This is the Tech Mobility Podcast.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.